Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. It's harvest time for Virginia apple producers who have been raising a crop despite bad weather and pandemic conditions. What does it take to grow an heirloom Virginia tomato from the ground up? We ask an expert. And agriculture continues to be a vital part of Isle of Wight County's local economy.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from the Huguenot Farmers Market at the Great Big Greenhouse in Chesterfield County. Norm Hyde reports a rite of fall continues in Virginia apple orchards, even during a pandemic.
Virginia apple growers have been adapting to COVID-19 restrictions like everyone else. They're also dealing with the results of some cold snaps and wet weather this spring that delayed their harvest and led to production problems.
Cold nights isn't abnormal, but this year we'd have 4 or 5 nights in a row where we were getting some cold damage. Then we get a couple normal nights, and then again we'd have another 4 or 5 days of really cold temperatures down below freezing, and at that point we lose apple blossoms.
We do expect our numbers overall to be down simply because of the damage from the cold. The later varieties are in good supply, and the size of the fruit and so far the quality is in good shape. But from the get-go, the earlier fruits were damaged probably more severely than the later fruits. So in the end, we probably will see a downtick. We hope that the increase in sales will make up for the difference.
Dudley Rinker raises apples for wholesale and retail sale in Frederick County, the heart of Virginia apple country. He also produces local cider for sale at farmers markets and stands. John Brugier and his brother Tommy are the 9th generation to farm their family land, and they offer pick-your-own apples to visitors in Nelson County. Both growers have their fingers crossed for good sales this fall, despite the pandemic.
We'd have customers tell us that they're happy to go to the farms to purchase their food rather than go to stores where they might be afraid of group gatherings. So actually, I also do farmers markets, and I've seen an increase in sales across the board in farmers markets, at our retail farm stands, and of course the pick your own so far.
We have some cider customers that have already said they are not going to be open this fall, so that's production that we're going to be losing. But we think our other customers are going to be picking up in production and sales, and hopefully by the time we get done, it won't be as much of a downturn as what we had expected at one time.
This fall, face masks, hand sanitizer, and social distancing are the norm for apple pickers and packers. Everyone's taking extra steps to keep themselves and their employees and customers safe.
Before the COVID, we would allow people to select their own apples out of the bins from the retail store, and now we're having to take the extra time to pre-bag. People have been very patient and helpful, and hasn't been an issue so far.
We're very concerned about our employees. We want them to be safe. We're doing COVID testing when they come in. We did one round last week. We're going to do another round today. We're also providing face shields, face masks. We're putting up plexiglass where they're going to be working close together. Also more hand sanitizer and more cleaning materials.
Obviously, when customers get here and they are close to me or to other workers, they will wear a mask, but once they step away from me, everybody simply drops their mask because there's no harm, there's nobody around here. We are not an extremely busy farm stand.
Most years, growers' main worries are the weather and whether they'll have enough labor to harvest their fruit. This year, they're hoping socially distancing customers haven't lost their taste for a juicy Virginia-grown apple.
The fruit may not be the shapiest and the prettiest and all that, but it's still good fruit. The apple is still good. So, we want you to come out and pick and enjoy the fruit, the labor of your harvesting.
COVID or no COVID, and good economy, bad economy, we're still hanging on. We want people to come out. We want people to enjoy fresh fruit, buy local. Don't worry about what comes from Washington State. Buy right here in Virginia. Support Virginia products, especially here in Nelson County.
In Virginia Apple Country, I'm Norm Hyde reporting.
Virginia is known for producing high-quality apples. It's the 6th largest apple-producing state in the country, behind Washington State, New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and California. Virginia growers raised 204 million pounds of apples in 2018 on 9,700 acres of orchards. Growers earned more than $37 million that year, with prices averaging more than 18 cents a pound. If you're thinking of baking an apple pie from scratch this fall, you only need 8 medium apples for a 9-inch diameter pie. You need a bushel of apples weighing 42 to 48 pounds to produce 12 to 16 quarts of applesauce.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about raising heirloom tomatoes from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Heirloom tomatoes are popular with gardeners, even though they can be challenging to grow. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension shares some tips on the best heirloom varieties to try from the ground up.
Well, hello and welcome. Today we're in Warrenton, Virginia. We're at the Fauquier Education Farm. We're here with Mr. Jim Hankins, the Executive Director of the farm. Jim, thanks for letting us come out here today and talk to you about heirloom tomatoes. First of all, people have maybe heard that term. What does that mean? What's an heirloom tomato?
Heirloom tomatoes are varieties that have been around for quite a while, and they breed true, which means if I save seeds from a striped German tomato that's been planted away from other tomatoes, I'll still get a striped German tomato. A lot of the more modern hybrid types, you can't save seeds. They are newer varieties. These are the more older, old-fashioned, tried and true varieties.
Okay, well that makes sense. I guess even families pass these down to people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are several varieties we've got that are named. You know, this is Dr. White Cheese Yellow. I mean, there are very, very specific stories attached to a lot of these older varieties.
If a home gardener was going to put some of these out, is there something different they need to do or watch for or look out for if they're growing them?
Heirlooms can be challenging. You know, there's a very good reason why a lot of the industrial producers have gone to the more disease-resistant, more productive hybrids. So a lot of people believe that the heirlooms will taste better. You know, that's debatable, you know, I mean, that is a matter of personal preference. There are several heirloom varieties that I really like. But heirlooms can be more problematic. They are more subject to disease. Okay. They're more subject to frequently cracking the fruit. You have a much higher incidence of blossom end rot. It is a terrible disease that affects tomatoes, and it will affect heirlooms much higher than the newer hybrid varieties. Okay. There are some heirloom varieties that they come up, you get 3 tomatoes, and then the plant gives up. There are others, like my striped Germans, that they just keep on going. You don't run into problems. This is a tasty tomato. Okay. So know your variety that you're putting in.
Well, I think that's real important. And so when we're thinking about that, as a home gardener is looking through seed catalogs and things like that, and they see these heirloom varieties, where can they get them? Do they get seeds? Do they get transplants?
You can buy seeds. One tip that I'd like to suggest is going to your local farmers markets. Your local farmers will be producing some really pretty cool heirloom varieties. Do a little bit of agricultural espionage. Pay attention to what your local farmers are growing because they're going to be picking good varieties. And you know, really often in the springtime, when you go to that farmer's market, you can buy plants from them. Otherwise, you know, you can get them. All of the seed catalogs are carrying really good heirloom varieties, and you can start them yourself if you have that capacity. But if it doesn't work the first time, try a different variety. Variety really matters tremendously.
I really appreciate what you said about some of these varieties get blossom and rot more than maybe some other varieties.
Yeah,
so it's about that.
And some of them are just so crazy in their shapes that you've got to cut it into 15 pieces to get a slice. So yeah, the variety really matters. But there are really great heirloom varieties.
Well, I see you've got different ones here. What are some of your favorites that you're growing this year?
Well, you know, my striped Germans, I wouldn't have a garden any longer without striped German tomatoes. Speckled Roman, that's the name of this variety. This is one of my favorite. These are kind of small. We just picked through here yesterday, so but it's a wonderful, tasty little tomato. Yellow Brandywine. I didn't have a good yellow Brandywine, so great heirloom tomato. There are some that I would avoid, you know. I mean, this is a debate. This is Cherokee Purple. Right. There are a lot of people that love Cherokee Purple. It's a real love-hate relationship with them. They're really productive if you like brown tomatoes.
Right, yeah, exactly. Well, that sounds like there's something for everybody to go out there and try and find. And it sounds like a lot of good flavors.
Yeah, and the key will be try them. You know, if it doesn't produce well, if I have to baby anything, I'm not going to grow it. So, you know, try a variety. If it doesn't work, try another variety.
That's great advice. I love that. For the home gardener, I think these heirlooms can be something worthwhile to try.
Oh yeah, everybody wants, you know, a tomato sandwich this time of year.
That's right.
Yep.
Thanks, Jim, for letting us come out and talk about heirloom tomatoes today.
All right, glad to have you.
Well, for more information about growing heirloom tomatoes, please contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Coming up, we're going to show you guys how to make a great tomato pie. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
There are still plenty of fresh Virginia tomatoes available at farmers markets. Chef Tammy Brawley shares a recipe for a savory tomato pie from the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley, and we're here with a special outdoor edition of Heart of the Home. We're at Old Tavern Farm here in New Kent, Virginia, using some beautiful fresh vegetables to make some great recipes today. We're going to start with a delicious tomato pie. My daughter just mentioned it about a week ago. She said, Mom, I can't wait till you make your tomato pie. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the crust. I want you to see that I've got one already ready here. We have, it is a rollout dough, and it's totally fine to use those. Cooks Illustrated recommends them if you don't have the time to make your own. If you do roll it out, what you want to do is make sure you dock it, which gives it a little air hole. Put it into your pie dish, piece of parchment paper, and some weights. Put it into your oven, which obviously we don't have here, but put it into your oven, and we're going to go for about 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. Take out the weights, take out the parchment paper, stay in the oven for about 5 more minutes. It'll come out and it'll be a little firmer on the end. You want to do a firm crust for pies like this. If it was a berry crust or a berry pie, we would leave it soft. But in this case, what we've done is we've made that rollout dough already ready. And then you want to take your tomatoes, the gorgeous tomatoes here at New Kent, and you want to take the core out. And you want to cut off some of the ends if they're a little not done enough. And then you want to put them on a tray, a sheet tray. And then you want to sprinkle them with salt, and you'd like to let them sit for about 15 minutes. This is going to help draw out some of the moisture and not have so much liquid in your actual pie. These have already been sitting for about 15 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and work with them now. So we're going to take our tomato slices and we're going to stagger them or staircase them around in the bottom of the pie. And they are going to bake down, so even though it might look kind of full, it's going to bake down. So it's okay to kind of overfill it. They also call this a technique shingle. I couldn't think of that word a moment ago. And then once you get your tomato slices in there, I like to take some fresh basil. Old Tavern's got some gorgeous basil out here. I'm loving using it, and I'd already chopped some up for you. And we're going to sprinkle that over the top of the tomatoes. And if you don't have any basil in your own garden, mint would make a nice suggestion there as well. I think that would be delicious. And then we're going to take some cheese, all right? Cheese of your flavor profile. I actually have some seriously sharp cheddar here that I like a lot. And we're going to mix it with some mayonnaise. And we're going to go right into the bowl with the mayonnaise and the cheese. And we're going to mix that up. And then you're going to take your mayonnaise cheese mixture, you're going to place it right over top of the tomatoes. If you feel like you need a little more, then that's fine. If your dish is deeper or bigger, go ahead and do a little bit more mayonnaise and cheese. I just like to get it a lot, you know, for the most part covered. And then I'll sprinkle it with a little bit more basil. And then you can take another few slices of tomato for garnish on the top. And then pop that into the oven. Keep an eye on it. I checked my oven at 20, but I did end up letting it go another 10 minutes. So it depends on your oven. And when it comes out, it should be nice and golden brown and ready to eat. And there you have it, a great tomato pie. What a great summer recipe. This is Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next week on Heart of the Home for another great recipe.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website, greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Fresh tomatoes are a summertime garden favorite in the Old Dominion, but open field tomato production has declined over the past decade. In 2009, 4,800 acres of tomatoes were harvested by commercial growers out in the open. A decade later, only 2,000 acres of tomatoes were harvested that way. These figures do not include backyard garden yields. They also do not include greenhouse tomatoes, which are much more popular with some growers because they can raise the fruit year-round. Even some smaller outdoor producers are switching to high tunnel operations, which allow them to start outdoors sooner and extend their growing season later in the year.
Isle of Wight County can trace its farming roots back to colonial days. Burke Moeller reports in this county agricultural close-up that the Isle of Wight farmers are determined to keep that tradition going for many more years.
Isle of Wight County is part of Virginia's Tidewater region. Like most of the Tidewater area, the land is flat, making it ideal for growing crops like corn, cotton, peanuts, and soybeans. But it's the local soil that dictates which crops do especially well here.
I think we're unique because our soils are sandy, and that works well for peanuts and cotton, but we also have some land that will grow really good grain. We have to have water, like every crop does, when it needs it. But we can grow all four crops really well here, and wheat does well in the wintertime as well. And I guess we're located close to Smithfield Foods, so we have a market for grain, and we're close to the port, so we've got an export market.
Butler has been raising Georgia-style peanuts on his land because they've been more resistant to disease than traditional Virginia peanuts. And with baseball season on hold for much of the year, the Virginia peanut crop has lost some of its market. But that hasn't stopped farmers here from being recognized by their peers. Kirk Jones was nominated by other farmers for his skill in raising peanuts.
it was kind of a shock when it all happened. The man called me and said, you know, you won the 2020 Peanut Efficiency Award, and I thought he had the wrong number. I was like, I think you're looking for my dad. And he says, no, I'm looking for Kirk. So it was a big shock when it happened.
Row crops are important to Isle of Wight County farmers, but the county is also home to Smithfield Foods' world headquarters and one of their largest pork processing plants. Isle of Wight County has a total of 237 farms spread out over 80,672 acres. The market value for all farm products is $64,223,000. Crops account for more than half that at $39,774,000. Livestock comes in at $24,450,000. Farming has changed in the years since Pete Edwards started working the land. He still produces plenty of row crops and raises some 200 head of cattle, but he's also converting an old horse barn into a retail facility and delving into agritourism.
And we had this old horse barn out in the facility where we are now. It used to be a 6-stall horse barn with tack room and everything. And all the kids outgrew the horses, so we converted this into a little farm market, and it's worked very well.
Edwards says he's seen winters become warmer here. He's also seen more traffic in the towns of Smithfields and Windsor. Those in agriculture are taking notice.
We've had a lot of people come into the county from outside of Newport News. They're coming to rural Isle of Wight County. And so we've seen a lot of our producers diversify in their farms, turning to agritourism, turning to the U-pick operations. But we have stayed strong with our commercial roots. Isle of Wight is very dedicated to preserving our agriculture industry and our history in agriculture.
One way the county is preserving agriculture's place is by investing in ag education. Pamela Hall teaches at Carrollton Elementary School and is one of 8 teachers across the country to win the 2020 National Excellence in Teaching About Agriculture Award. The county also provides farm work experience for high school students.
You can't teach agriculture in a class in a cinder block building out of a book.
Judkins comes from 6 generations of farmers and has found that working with kids can be just as rewarding as raising crops.
We've had students come out here that might not necessarily have the best home life. They pick an animal, they take care of that animal, and you can actually really see it change them. It changes their personality, changes their views on life, makes them a better person. Really, it hits you. It hits you at what that can do to a student and for a student.
The farmers of Isle of Wight County are committed to keep farming a dominant part of their local community and culture.
The farmers are good stewards of the land, and they're using new technology that's coming from Extension Service, which is taxpayer dollars that's helping fund that. So they're just not flying by the seat of their pants. They're using a lot of science. A lot of research is going into what you see here before it gets here. So, and they're trying to do the best they can. We're trying to make a living just like everybody else is, and we can't abuse what is providing us the living.
Agriculture has been important to Isle of Wight County since the 17th century. And whether they raise peanuts, cotton, hogs, or other products, farmers here are determined to keep that land prosperous for generations to come. In Isle of Wight County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen, to your home and garden, to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.